Daily Journal stock, my Berkshire Hathaway stock, my holdings in Lilu's Asian fund, my Costco stock. And of course, I'm outperforming everybody. And I'm 95 years old, and I practically never have a transaction. And the answer is I'm right and they're wrong. And that's why it's worked for me and not for them. And the question is, do you want to be more like me or more like them? I think personal discipline, personal morality, good colleagues, good ideas, all the simple stuff. I'd say if you want to carry one message from Charlie Munger, it's this. If it's trite, it's right. All those old virtues they all work. When I was a little boy, what I learned at a very young age, when I was just a kid, I could see some of the adults around me were nuts, and yet they were very talented. I could see how much irrationality there was in very talented people. So I got interested in seeking out the patterns and understanding why it happened and learning tricks to cope and so on. And I did that when I was a little kid. And of course it helped me. Who is not helped by an early start in a promising activity? And what activity could be more promising than diagnosing stupidity? I had more difficulty sleeping when I was young, but I do have a tip that I've learned late in life. I never consciously blanked out my mind when I tried to go to sleep. So I allowed my mind to wrestle through my problems and keep me awake very, very late while I lay in bed wrestling with problems. And then if I didn't sleep well one night, I figured, what the hell, I'll sleep the next night. But that was pretty stupid. Now I actually deliberately blank out my mind and I can go to sleep rather easily, and I recommend it to all of you. It really works. I don't know why the hell I didn't get to it before 93. You can all go back and make some decision better, but it's the nature of the thing, you're going to blow one occasionally. My general idea is there's no point in fretting too much about what you can't fix. It's a big mistake to fill yourself with resentments and hatreds and so on. It's such a simple idea, but so many people ruin their lives unnecessarily. So if your game is money management, you have a serious problem. And I don't have any solution for this problem. I do think that index investing, if everybody did it, won't work. But for another considerable period, index investing is going to work better than active stock picking, where you try and know a lot. Now, at a place like Berkshire Hathaway or even the Daily Journal, we've done better than average. And now there's a question, why has that happened? Why has that happened? And the answer is pretty simple. We tried to do less. We never had the illusion we could just hire a bunch of bright young people and they would know more than anybody about canned soup and aerospace and utilities and so on and so on and so on. We never had that dream. We never thought we could get really useful information on all subjects, like Jen Kramer tends to have. And we always realized that if we worked very hard, we could find a few things where we were right, and that a few things were enough, and that was a reasonable expectation. That is a very different way to approach the process. And if you had asked Warren Buffett the same thing that this investment counseling did, give me your best idea this year, and you just followed Warren's best idea, you would find it worked beautifully. I had a grandfather who was very useful to me, my mother's grandfather, and he was a pioneer, and he came out to Iowa with no money but youth and health, and took it away from the Indians. He fought in the Black Hawk. He was a captain in the Black Hawk Wars, and he stayed there, and he bought cheap land, and he was aggressive and intelligent and so forth, and eventually he was the richest man in the town and highly regarded in a huge family and a very happy life. And he had the attitude, having come out to Iowa when the land was not much more than $1 an acre, and having stayed there until that black topsoil created a modern, rich civilization and some of the best land in the world. His attitude was that in a favored life like his, when you were located in the right place, you just got a few opportunities if you lived to be about 90. And the trick in coming out well was seizing a few opportunities that were your fair share that came along when they did. And he told that story over and over again to the grandchildren who hung around him all summer. And my mother, who had no interest in money, remembered the story and told it to me. But I'm not my mother's natural imitator, and I knew Grandpa Hingham was right. And so I always knew from the very first, when I was a little boy, that the opportunities that were important that were going to come to me were few, and that the trick was to prepare myself for seizing the few that came. This is not the attitude they have at a big investment counseling thing. They think if they study a million things, they can know a million things. And of course, the result is almost nobody can outperform an index. Why should 90% of the college professors in the humanities be very left-wing? Another issue, of course, that's happened in the world of stock picking, where all this money and effort goes into trying to be rational, is that we've had a really horrible thing happen to the investment counseling class. And that is, these index funds have come along and they basically beat everybody. And not only that, the amount by which they beat everybody is roughly the amount of cost of running the operation and making the changes in investments. So you have a whole profession that is basically being paid for accomplishing practically nothing. This is very peculiar. This is not the case with bowel surgery or even the criminal defense bar and the law or something. They have a whole profession where the chosen activity they've selected, they can't do anything. Now, in the old days, the people in the profession always had some of this problem. And they rationalized as follows: we are saving our clients from the insurance salesman and the stockbroker. And they were saving people from the life insurance salesman and the hustling stockbroker who liked active trading. And I suppose in the sense that the investing class is still saving those people from an even worse fate. But it is very peculiar when a whole profession that works so hard and is so admirable, and the members of which we are delighted when they marry into our families, and they just can't do what the profession is really trying to do, which is get better than average results. How is that profession handling this terrible situation? As index investing gets more and more popular, well, I'll give you a very simple answer. They're handling it with denial. They have a horrible problem they can't fix, so they just treat it as non-existent. This is a very stupid way to handle a problem. Now, it may be good when you're thinking about your own death, which you can't fix, and just denial all the way to the end. But in all the practical fields of life, this problem thoroughly understood is half solved or better coped with. So it's wrong to have all these people in just a state of denial and doing what they've always did year after year and hoping that the world will keep paying them for it, even though an unmanaged index is virtually certain to do better. It's a very serious problem. And think of how much New York, say, needs a flow of money from finance. Think what would happen to Manhattan if there weren't any fees for investment management or trading spreads and so on. And so it's a weird situation. And of course, it's unpleasant. Big investment counseling shops some of them shrink and some go out of business. And the value investors, of course, who many of I know because we came from that tradition, the value investors who are honorable are quitting. Boom, boom, boom. And what worked for them for years stopped working, and they're honorable people, they just quit. And they're also rich, so it makes it easy. But those who aren't rich have a hell of a problem. It costs about $50,000 to say in Manhattan to send your kid to preschool, non-deductible. And that's just the start of an endless procession of years of vast expense.